Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are all tiny now. Look at how small we are. And that's because we need room for character sheets. So I've assigned all of you characters in Roll20. You should be able to see them individually in your thing. Andrew's character, Austin's character, Colin's character, and Sylvan's character. Can you guys see all those?
I see mine. I see them as assigned to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see all of them. So I'll just pop back and forth between them. If you want to show me anything, I should be able to pop open your character sheet. Andrew, I'm going to use yours as the example. So if you open your character sheet, you'll see there's 3 sub-tabs. There's bio and info, there's character sheet, and there's attributes and abilities. Pretty much everything's on character sheet.
Okay.
And when you click that bad boy, it will take you to your sub sheet, which has information, stats and skills, combat, and the character burner, which is what we are going to start with. So
okay.
Get out your tomes, and we'll be referring to page 82. So the way the characters work in Burning Wheel, they are an assembly of life paths. So all your number stuff is generated by selecting these life paths. The Manish life paths that we're using, the human stock life paths, all can be found in sort of the midsection of the book, so you'll need that. But do we have character concepts? Do y'all have those? Let's start there.
I do.
I kind
of like sent it to you in a fevered rush the other night. I was like, I have it.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure at the end of that string of messages, you're like, "This made more sense in my head." Okay, I'm going to bed.
I did. That is what happened.
Yeah.
So I decided I wanted to play a character who was at one point connected to the old guard, the kind of old hierarchy. Was kind of born as a bastard into a noble house, and then left it, kind of, as he realized like that he was not going to be able to do anything as a bastard. Kind of left it in a kind of a bitter, cynical huff. And then lived out in the woods or out in the who knows where. I don't know if it's the woods. I don't know if it's like the university somewhere, but somewhere that isn't the traditional like center of civilization, where he like studied with like a kind of Zhuge Liang figure, a Marx figure, a kind of like someone who's like a little esoteric compared to what the standard is, and picked up the kind of beginnings or a version of the populist philosophy that the rest of the revolution would lead, and then he came back and like managed to claim power inside of his noble house, and then use that power to throw the rest of the hierarchy under the bus.
Nice.
So he's kind of like the inside man who I kind of think no one's really sure, including him, if he fucked over the rest of nobility because he was jealous and bitter, or because
so awesome.
he had like actual philosophical, moral, ethical beliefs. Do you know what I mean?
So there's a bit of that like teenage Marxist thing where you're like, of course you hate capitalism, you're poor.
Right, exactly.
Right, so there's a bit of like, yeah, you're the bastard, and you're like, of course you hate the nobility because they rejected you, and now you've got your revenge.
And now I have my revenge, and now what? Like,
yeah.
Good. Now what? Good job, buddy. He's also a little older, right? I think he's like in his 30s at this point. He's like kind of. I think he came back he left as an angsty teen and came back as like a kind of manipulative adult.
Yeah. So what'll make your character slightly older would be leads, because you're going to be in and out of different life paths, and then if you take more academic life paths, which it sounds like you're going to do, that'll increase your character's age. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so if you had to sum up your character like concept, what would you say? Like former noble, like.
Yeah, I think former noble is the thing that, of the 12, I suspect that's like the thing that makes him unique, unless the other characters in the party, or that you have other NPCs in mind that are also going to be former nobles. But I think like former noble, philosopher sellout, like I don't know, something that former noble is.
I like that bastard philosopher sellout.
I also, here's the other thing I like about him being a bastard is that I think that one of the things that you talked about in your introduction to Burning Wheel video was that traits are good because they encourage you to get your character into trouble. Yeah. And I like Bastard here because in our setting, Bastard is flipped. Traditionally, Bastard would get you into trouble because you're not quite noble enough, Here, it's proof that I
You
still
used to
have
be, yeah.
ties.
Right.
to
It's
the
like
ability that was thrown out.
it's like the half elf problem, where it's not
Yes.
that your problem isn't that you're half an elf; it's that you're still half human.
I'm still half human.
Right.
Exactly. And in fact, like I almost think that I feel like the nickname for this character is like the bastard twice, because I kind of bastardized myself
Oh, that's
twice. I
so
kind of
good.
threw myself away. I like got tossed out of the nobility in a sense twice. I kind of that's where I'm leading.
That's all I needed.
So,
all I need another role playing game with a character in it named twice. I'm gonna get
Is that
confused. Nobody else is allowed to have names that are the same as Apocalypse World, or I'm gonna get really confused and turned around. Cool. Okay. It looks like you have a concept, Andrew. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I would really like to be the person who killed the king.
We can see that on your character sheet.
Yeah, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
So I want my character to be some kind of like fighty person, and for them to be really like awful, just a bad person, like has a gambling problem, which isn't necessarily like you're a bad person, but like also has a gambling problem, is just a miserable jerk to everyone, like is this like just really wound up, like angry, murderous dude.
Miserable shit. Well, and we talked a little bit when you were first talking about this, about the gambling thing, where like gambling is seen as kind of a bourgeois habit, and like it's an affectation of the upper classes, which no longer really exist or shouldn't, I guess, in the eyes of the. It's a counter-revolutionary behavior, Andrew.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Money could be better put to use helping people.
Yeah.
It's like the man that should have been a hero of the revolution and is now just this like dark stain that they can't get out. You know, it's just like fuck, it's that guy again. Like he gives us all a bad name.
I love
So
it.
yeah,
Cool. I dig it. All right. So
it's me.
you're such a burnout. All right. Colin or Sildon, either of you have concepts for your characters that are ready, or sort of ready at least?
You're super quiet right now, Jess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. Nope. Nope.
Is the mic like up or anything, or away from your head?
Oh my god.
There we go. Yes.
You muted it.
That never happened. So moving on. I was thinking I wanted to be. I'm definitely sure I want to be like a peasant.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're the legit
I was
troll.
Yeah.
thinking, the baker's daughter, the baker of the previous king,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure of my connection to the assassination at this point, but there is like this sort of underground group of tradesmen that got together and doesn't necessarily have a strong motive this way or the other, but they do self-defense. They get together to teach themselves how to protect themselves, essentially.
Cool.
So yeah, that's as
Nice.
far as I got with that.
I like the idea of some of the cursed might not know why they're cursed at all, right? Like the king died and you're somewhere else, and all of a sudden like this bad thing has just happened to you, and you don't necessarily know your connection to it.
Yeah.
That can be a thing.
Man.
It's more like part
I
of
was
this
gonna-
larger conspiracy.
You can also do that too, or maybe it's like your father was involved somehow. Maybe before they killed the king, they poisoned him, but your dad died, and so it got passed on to you, like the whole sins of the father thing, right?
Huh.
So,
I like that. There's like a nice double. There's like a mirroring there of the sins of the father, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in your case, it would be literally the sins of the father, and like there's also this metaphorical, like what do we do after we've inherited the crown in a sense? We're stuck with this shit. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
How long has it been since the king was killed? Do we know this? Yeah.
Short enough that there's still a lot of like uncertainty about the new regime, but long enough that it wasn't like yesterday.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then Colin, do you have a sort of general concept for your character?
Yeah, I've got like kind of a scattered concept.
Sure.
So I was also thinking of playing a man in his like late 40s, maybe early 50s, who also holds a position close to the, I guess, king is what we've sort of landed on, right?
I mean, I think it's still a
but-
stand-in for just like
Yeah,
assassinated power
whatever.
figure.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
El
but in this
Presidente.
case, someone with some sort of like solitary vocation that's associated with the king or royalty or whatever, but is not like a politically driven role, like something like a gamekeeper or like a blacksmith or something, like someone who's sort of like part of the entourage but not really politically involved.
Okay.
And I was thinking somehow I have sort of like I was convinced to agree with sort of the disillusionment with the crown, I guess, but not to the effect of assassination. Like I wanted to say that I was like led to believe that he would be sort of deposed in a, you know, sort of you have to step down kind of way,
Right,
and I
sure.
didn't realize it was going to
Listen, there's a farm out in the country.
Right,
It's
the
like
king.
a
Yeah.
farm
The
for
king is
kings.
upstate.
He's upstate.
Aw.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm trying to play like a sort of torn angle here where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, maybe somewhere deep down I suspected these people who convinced me to maybe provide some sort of important information about the location
You're
of
like
the
you're like the
ruler.
accidental turncoat, right? Like
Yeah, like
cool.
so I'm just thinking something like made me feel that I'm fed up with the rule, but not on like a really radical level. And
Was it-
I basically provided some information that ultimately led to the downfall.
Was it really personal for you? Was it just like a shitty, like he just treated you shitty for a couple of months, and in anger, we got you to admit
man.
where the secret
See,
passage was?
I'm much more inclined to the latter, because something more like sort of spur of the moment and like tragic.
Yeah.
Something that's more like dark. I was thinking if we really wanted to get dark, like maybe somehow I was even supportive of the king, but maybe my family and wife or someone was not, and I sort of begrudgingly decided, okay, you know, I'll help these guys out who are trying to overthrow, but
So
and
maybe
then
you
something
didn't
tragic happens.
you didn't take the rebellion maybe as seriously as you should have.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay,
that's
cool.
where I'm going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're the dude from like Fargo, or there's a character like in Happy Valley, or Burn After Reading.
Mhm.
He's like
I like how, like everybody else is
Stumbled
everybody
into,
else's
or,
Game
like-
of Thrones, but you're in the Coen Brothers
Coen Brothers,
version.
yeah.
which are still really like dark.
Oh,
and
super
sad,
dark,
right?
yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
very like humble in a way as well. Like people getting in over their heads, right?
Cool. Okay, yeah, and we can explore this stuff more in like you don't have to have a fully fleshed out idea of your character's participation until it comes up on screen, right?
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, so I think that's probably a good place for y'all to start. You may want to tweak or adjust it as you go. But now what we're going to do is choose life paths. So these are the history of your character leading up to basically the current situation. We're going to pick where you were born, not like a location, but what strata of society you were born, like if you were born a noble or born a peasant or whatever. And then you're going to figure out where you went from there. And it doesn't sound like anyone has necessarily an idea for, like, I want to be a knight, because to be a knight you have to specifically follow a certain path.
Right.
So you guys, it sounds like, have a little bit of room to take a look at that. So life paths will give you a bunch of stuff on your character sheet. So you can see here, life paths give you, they'll have a name. There's a time, which is the amount of time it takes to go through that part of your life. If it says lead here, that means, is it a lead in from another class, basically? So if you were born noble and then lose your nobility and become a peasant, then that's a lead. So you're going from one setting to another. It'll tell you how many resources you get. And then stats. So if it says +1P or +1M, you can put a 1 next to either of those. Sorry, I'm defacing your character sheet, Andrew. If it says M and P, just put the numbers next to both of them. If it says M or P, you have to pick. This means mental or physical. So your character either got better mentally or better physically because of it.
Is the slash basically or?
Yeah, slash means or in the life path. It'll say leads, which will tell you where you can go from there. So if you become a criminal, then you can't go right back into being a noble. You have to kind of work your way back that way if you want. Mm-hmm. It'll tell you skills, of which there are two kinds. There's general skills, which you'll put in the general column, and there's your regular skill points you put there, and it'll tell you what skills your character will learn at this part of their life, and you'll type those in here. So you'll want to include everyone in order on this list. So that's why we gave you so many spaces. And this will be what you choose from when you go to spend those skill points. And then last, just like the skills, you'll have traits. It's a number of points, and you'll write them in down here. So like, for example, if you look at page 84, that shows you a couple of elf life paths, just as an example. Mm-hmm. So Citadel-born takes 20 years to go through. It takes 20 years for you to be an infant as an elf. It'll give you 7 resource points. It doesn't give you any stat bonus. You can lead into the Wilderlands or stay in the Citadel. It gives you 5 general skill points and 2 specific skill points, and then you would write down Elven Script and Sing. If it's the first skill on the list, so for Andrew's character, like let's pretend you're learning Elven Script and Sing. And Sing, the first one from the life path, click this required box because you have to open that skill. So remember to come back and do that so you can check that. So the next life path, if you became a Wanderer, you'd get Song of Paths and you'd have to check that, but the rest of the skills you can fill in. So this character wouldn't have to learn how to sing, but they would definitely need to take Song of Paths for their second life path. And again, like I'll lay this all out for you, and then we'll go through individually, and I'll just let you guys ask questions, and I'll jump between people's character sheets, and we can figure that stuff out. And then the same with traits. So down at the bottom, you'll have a list of traits. These will be, again, the first one you have to take. The rest of them are optional. You can just put the required checkbox next to it. So like nobles, for example, you have to take noblesse obligée, I think.
Mark of Privilege.
Mark of Privilege, yeah. It's the knight or something that takes that other one. You have to take Mark of Privilege, but you can, if you want to pay for later, also take your Eminence, your Grace, or whatever.
Right.
So we're playing 4 life path characters, so you'll get to pick 4 of these. So I'll find the page where they all start. Let me grab my book here, because I'm now in the actual character creation section. So you'll find all of those for humans in slightly farther back in the book, and this will walk you through how you make all of your choices for your character. Let's see if we can find it here. So many skills. Here we go. The Kingdom of Man. So these start on page 162, 163. Yeah, cool. I've got a bunch of them written down here. So 162. That's where they start. So your setting options are peasant. You can be born city-born, so in the city dweller setting. You can be noble-born, which is 177. And then you can also be, I think, son of a gun is the other one. So you'd be born on a ship. Oh no, you can be born slave too, which doesn't sound like anybody is, but that's an option. Cool. Okay. So
should we be marking down the traits that we don't plan to take that are from our life paths, or just the
required ones? Because they're going to be cheaper if you do decide to take them.
Like down the road.
Yeah, down the road, exactly. Okay. At least during this process. If you don't end up taking them, then you don't have to worry about them. Yeah, at the end of this session. Cool. Okay, so it sounds to me like Austin, you're going to be noble-born, probably?
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely doing noble-born and then bastard, because bastard says that you have to take it second.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I'm going to use the outcast lead. from Bastard
Mm-hmm.
to go to Thinker.
15 years of thinking.
15 years of thinking in wherever the outcasts are. We'll figure that out. Maybe when we get to resources, we'll figure out what the hell I was doing. And then from there, I'm jumping because Thinker has an any lead, which I love. And I'm going to go from there to Lord.
Okay.
Which is back to Noble, the Noble setting.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So, like, Colin, you have it sounds like from your concept, you have a pretty broad set of options for your character. Did you have any particular born setting that you wanted to start with?
No, I don't have anything in mind. I mean, I didn't get this far. Just to be honest.
No, that's
sorry. I hope it doesn't. No one should be like me. I am the worst. I just like I just
over-prepared.
Austin, you're making us all look really bad.
Sorry.
And I really just mean you're making me look really bad.
There
I'm
needs
still
to
trying
be
to
like
figure
a
out
burning wheel book on tape so I can absorb all of this.
It's okay.
Do it while you sleep.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's all front loaded. Like once you have your characters, you just have to click buttons when you roleplay, and then you're good to go.
So when did the dungeons and the dragons happen?
Well, there's not going to be any dragons, but if you play your cards right, you might end up in a dungeon. That's definitely
Just be
possible.
born a slave, and then you're already in a
Yeah.
dungeon.
Dungeon born.
So with me not being prepared here, do you have any, based on my like weird description, did anything come to mind?
I generally default to Cityborn if I'm playing a human and don't really know where I'm from, because that's like the most general. Like you could be lower class, middle class, upper class, doesn't matter. You were born in the city. You're not a noble and you're not a peasant. Like you can narrow those down. So if you want to be a peasant, take peasant-born. If you want to be a noble, take noble-born. But if you don't, city-born is probably fine. The other ones are like kind of on the weird side. So like born on a pirate ship, or like I was born a slave. Like those are valid, but you pretty much know you're gonna take them when you make your character concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I might be born a slave, guys.
Yeah.
What about this villager setting?
So,
oh wait, that's a setting.
Yeah, so villager. What page are you looking at?
It's 165.
Cool.
So you can be village born though.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah, there is village born. Yeah, so it's like peasant is like a farm out in the middle of nowhere, maybe like a mile or two from like you got a bunch of fields, but you're not really in a village. Village is the next step up, where there's like a bunch of buildings together in one place, and then city-born is the city, and those they vary slightly, but not by too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, is your character from the big city? Are you from like a little town in the outskirt provinces, or are you like?
Yeah, I'm thinking not big city actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's where I end up, kind of, but
Sure.
Not to begin.
Okay, so it sounds like village born.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you'll put village born on that first life path line. Throw a 10 in time. 4 in resources. You leave lead blank. It's so awesome, like being able to just like keep up with this stuff in real time. Like I can just look at all your character sheets while you're looking at them.
Yeah.
Usually when I do like IRLs, like AFK character burning, I have to stand on my feet the whole time and just walk around the table the whole time. So yeah, you'll have 4 in your resources, no stat bonuses or penalties, 3 general skill points, and 2 general trait points, so just 2 in the trait column. And the great thing about this is those points, you can use them for any traits and any skills you want later. Being born in the village doesn't necessarily imply anything about your character.
Mm-hmm.
The same way being a noble would.
Okay.
Cool. So then, what do you think? Do you want to be peasant-born? Village-born? Where's your character from?
Well,
Or are you like an urban baker?
I'm a peasant, but I'm like a royal baker, right?
Okay.
So would I be city-born in that case?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing, like, if you're a middle, like, when we think of bakers, we're either thinking of, like, the one person in the village who has a stove big enough to make loaves of bread,
Yeah.
or we mean like you're making wedding cakes for rich people. Right? Like, is it which?
Yeah.
Which it sounds to me like you're leaning towards the like wedding cakes end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool.
And then you're in like the Baker's Guild, like it's more of a
oh yeah,
established.
Yeah, probably.
totally. And if
There's
it's
this-
if it's one of those like medieval civilizations that's been around a while, you're probably not even just in the Baker's Guild. It would be like the Frosters Guild or something, right? Like there's enough
love
bread.
it.
Specialization.
Yeah.
There's this thing. So I've been watching someone play through all of Shenmue because I'm a broken person, and
Hey, it's broken people like you that let people like me have a job. So
it's true. And early on in that, there's this thing where it's like so that's a game that takes place in Japan. The first game takes place in a small city in Japan, a small town in Japan, and you have to go interview or talk to a bunch of Chinese immigrants who might know something about the guy who kills your dad. And early on, they introduce you to this group called the Three Blades, which when you hear that, you're like, oh man, the Three
Right.
Blades, like that is some like badass like ninja shit. Like no, like it's the butchers, the barbers, and I forget what the third blade is.
Yeah.
But like it's three
Trade.
kind of professions, three trades that anybody could that anyone from China could come and do if they were skilled enough, because the kind of like entry level cost
Yeah.
was low, because they're like, oh, just a pair of scissors or a knife and some meat, you know. And I actually really like those sorts of professional organizations that have like a real, there's like a material reason for that to exist, right? Like, oh yeah, we're all trying to get our feet on the fucking ground here. It's not always just the kind of medieval story of it's a bunch of merchants who are trying to like get together for economic power. It can also just be like, listen, this is the way we were able to survive. We'll hang out and talk
we're
sometimes.
closing ranks.
Yes.
Yeah.
so
Turns out
you'll
it's hard to trade in Japan.
so you want to be city born then, so that'll go in your first life path
Okay.
slot there. So change that to city born. It takes 12 years to grow up in the city, so you get two extra years over if living in the village. For lead, you can leave it blank.
Okay.
You get 10 resources. No stat bonus, no change there. And you get 4 general points, so in the gen column, put 4, and 1 in the trait column.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So to pick your second life path, so the thing your character did after they stopped being an infant and started being like a real productive member of society, you can choose any life path from the setting you're already in. So you can pick any city dweller one, or you can lead to another setting and pick a path from there. So like for your character, you can take a city dweller life path, or you can move to servitude, court, noble, or outcast. City has lots of places to go, so everybody should have those as options. Andrew, are you going to take slave, born slave?
I just want to clarify, like, how brutally shitty is it to be born a slave? How bad is it?
It's pretty bad.
How
Well,
slave.
let's talk about slave born, because there is a trait, one of the slave ones called broken. Yeah, should we talk about the broken trait?
Sure.
Okay.
We should also, yeah.
So,
let's talk about the broken
I mean, we
trait.
can talk about this trait specifically because none of you will get traits necessarily from your. I guess born noble will, but traits are things that are just like inherently true about your character. They might go away. You might become unbroken over time, but they're ways that your character is going to get themselves into bad situations or trouble. So they'll be useful to you if they are dynamic and dramatically interesting. So broken sucks for your character because it does bad things to you when you're in, a rough spot. But it's also really easy to be in trouble or have a hard time because your character is broken, right? So broken is on 316, if you look that up for me. And there are basically 3 types of traits. There's call-ons or die traits, and those allow you to do like little mechanical things sometimes with your character. So you might get to reroll failed dice on something, or you might get a bonus to a particular kind of action. And then there's character traits, and character traits just let you say things about your character. Now, broken is a die trait, and if you are broken, if you were born a slave, you have -1 obstacle. Anyone, I guess it's not you. Anyone who tries to intimidate, interrogate, command, or seduce you, they all get a -1 to their obstacle. It's easier. Your will is broken. People are good at pushing you around, not because they're good at it, but because you are used to taking orders. Theon got this trait at some point in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to take broken. So at least at the beginning of the game, that's true. But it doesn't mean you're a mindless automaton, right? It just means that if somebody tries to push you around, you're more likely to just say yes. Yeah.
And so how do I know that I have to take broken?
It's the first trait on the list.
Is always required?
Yeah.
And then I have 3 points, so I can take 2 more traits?
You'd set those points aside, write down all the traits, and then later when we come back to spend those trait points, you can spend them on those or on other things from different life paths.
And then it doesn't the only specific skill it gives me is slavery wise.
Yeah. So you have to take slavery wise, but you get
does
more
it give
points.
Me -1 to my stats?
Does it say
Is that
-1? Does it say -1p?
Yeah, -1 M/P.
Yeah, so you pick. Either being a slave either made you mentally less capable or physically less capable.
Okay, now, so I'm down with this.
I was gonna say, like, being born a slave is like kind of hard mode, but
Real talk.
yeah.
But I think it will be.
I was gonna say, yeah. Turns out.
I think it's interesting for this character to be that guy who like has just been like shit on his whole life, and then like by some weird fluke, like he's not even that good, but he just happens to be the guy that like.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because like they need somebody to murder a king. Obviously, the guy that takes orders well, like somebody told you, like go kill that guy.
Man.
And like maybe like we were kind of a suicide squad, or like, and most of us did die, and like I just happened to by luck. So I want there to be something uncanny about the character as well.
Well,
like,
and that's what your other traits will allow you to do, and your other life paths.
Try to build that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like the idea that he's like lame, like he has a prosthetic leg or something. Like he's super.
That's a trait you can buy later.
Cool.
That's right.
So I'm broken.
In this game, you have to buy the fact you only have one leg.
I'm a buy the fact that I have one leg.
Okay.
I have a cool pig leg though.
So speaking of the fact that you have to buy stuff,
yes.
Traits cost points. That's correct?
Yeah.
Right?
If it's a trait that's listed on any of your life paths, like at the end, you'll have a list of several traits, and those will be you have to buy the first one on the list. But the other ones will cost you 1, no matter what they actually cost. So like gifted is a perfect example of this, where if you have gifted on one of your life paths, it costs you 1 point and bam, sorcery.
Okay.
If you don't have it, if you're like, I want to be a knight, you have to have 6 points to spend to buy gifted otherwise.
I was confused because bastard costs 4, but I'm like,
not for you. Not if you take
bastard.
bastard.
I have that life path. I got you. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
Yes, as Chat has so pointed out, you have to pay to make your character shitty.
But like, what you're doing is you're drawing a spotlight. You're putting the camera on that part of you.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier. I find at least it's easier to roleplay negative stuff in an interesting way than it is to roleplay positive. Like, I'm the strongest guy in the land. Great. I don't care. That's boring.
That's why Superman comics aren't as interesting as other comics.
Every other comic ever written.
Literally other comics.
Yeah.
Or like the best Superman comics are the ones that dig into the negative bits of him, right? That like when he's like, you know, better than everyone else on the planet. Like, that's a terrible thing to be. You know, like you're lonely.
Isn't that isolating, right? Like
isolating, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Getting gritty of it all.
So, second life pass for people who are not Austin.
I love books. Okay, I love books.
I'm not teasing you much.
That's so nice.
I'm just saying it's good. It's good that somebody's ready for this action.
I'm really not, for what it's worth. It's not.
So you have two. Okay, you basically got two choices here. You can either pick a life path you want to end with. So right before something happened, right before the game started, what was your character doing, and you can fill in the two in the middle, or you can work your way through your character's life chronologically. So like let's use So let's use your character as an example. So
Okay.
you're city-born, right? Now, is there a baker? There must be, because this is Burning Wheel.
There's like a tradesperson thing at the very least to end up at.
There's Baker. Yeah, Baker is Baker's a city-born. Now, did your character become a baker right away, or was baking, like professional baking, the last thing that you did?
I think I was probably born into it.
Okay. Now, were you given responsibility for joining the bakery as soon as you stopped being a child? Like, was it like, okay, you're 12 now, here's your apron, let's go make some cakes? Or was it like, hold on, you got to go to school first and learn to be good at a bunch of other shit and then come back to me and then you can bake?
Would I have been educated?
Totally up to you.
I probably wouldn't
Yes.
have been.
Student is like a life path. It's
But again,
super
although-
useful.
Let's remember, like, we can make up this. We can do whatever we want. If you think it's interesting that you went to that in our setting people go to school, then we can do that. Like, you can pick that.
Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't
and
have to
we
feel
kind of
like
discussed that the setting that we're in
Mhm.
is scholarly. Like, that's something that we care about as a people.
Oh,
so
we did have that talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess,
and there's like some
I
pretty advanced
totally went
political
to
talk.
school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you go to
totally went to
school right away, or did you do something else first? Like, I feel like city-born to student makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay, so you wanna take student as your second one?
Sure, I'll take
Student is awesome because it has both read and write in it, and it gives you a ton of skill points. So student is.
Education.
Can I interject with a little bit of setting stuff that just occurred to me?
Yeah.
Slash humble wreck. So I've been reading some Chekhov short stories. 'cause I'm-
Oh,
Like you just get that
But
under the
it's
wire.
interesting
Like plus,
because-
also I'm just gonna brag about some stuff.
it's a pre-revolutionary society in which the intelligentsia is talking about the value of education. And a lot of Chekhov stories about oh yeah, education's gonna elevate all of us, it's gonna make us so rad, like these peasants out in the countryside, we need to educate them. I think it would be really funny if the nobility of our setting were the ones who taught the peasants all this accidentally all this radical political thought.
Mhm.
And
Right.
we're like, oh, this is a great idea. So there
Yeah.
was some initiative to educate the people, and they thought that it would make the nobles will float on top of the cream.
Right.
Yeah,
if
turns
we
out-
educate the workers, they'll be able to work better for us.
It turns
I-
out,
I
turns
I
out when
love
you
it.
teach people to think, sometimes they don't like you anymore because they're
Yeah.
smart enough to know that you're full of shit.
Mhm.
Cool, I
So
like
yeah,
that.
an act of arrogance. That was kind of how this
No,
came
yeah,
about.
that's interesting.
Okay, so for student, now this is your first life path with requirements. So student, you're gonna add in time of 4 years.
Okay.
You're gonna add in 5 points for resources. It's not a lead, so it doesn't add any extra time. You're gonna add in 1 under M because it makes you smarter being a student. Turns out.
Mental.
Yeah, 1 M there on the stat block.
Okay.
And then for skills, put 11 points.
What?
And
Okay.
these are, not general, this is just the skill column. And then put 3 points for traits.
Okay.
And then now I'll move on to somebody else and let you do all this typing because as you can see on page 171, students get read, write, philosophy, rule of law, history, symbology, anatomy, astrology, inconspicuous,
Oh my
streetwise,
God.
and citywise, all available to buy points, spend points on. You just have to take write. You don't actually have to learn how to read if you don't want to, but at the very least, very least, your character learned how to write in the 4 years
Okay.
you were a student.
You
So
just copied letters on your little chalkboard
Yeah.
for hours on end.
So start by putting write as a skill on the top of that column where it says
Okay.
5 skill. You see that? So put write
Uh-huh.
there, and then every one underneath, fill it with another one of those skills. So read on the next line, philosophy on the next line, rule of law, etc., and fill that all the way down. And then for traits, when you get there, you have to take rabble rouser. So put rabble rouser as your first one. That's required.
Wait, traits? Oh.
Yeah, it's further down. It's number
okay,
6.
Rabble. Rouser.
Yeah.
Double-
Now, Adam, is that a tweak to the system to make it make sense for our setting, or is
No,
that
that's
actual-
that all students get rabble rouser by default.
Sure
That's
do.
funny.
Turns out you
very
and Luke,
appropriate.
you and Luke Crane have the same idea about students.
He's got all
So
these ideas about stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
So so put rabble rouser. Put in check the box for required.
Required. Okay.
Yeah. And then you can leave it from there. But also put for the next 2 lines. Optionally, you can take drunk and geometric each for 1 point. So what it means
Geometric.
is
Like, I'm literally physically geometric.
no, you have a mind for geometry.
Huh.
So all students are rabble rousers. Some students are drunk, and not very many are geometric.
Okay.
So I'll read the description of the
I'll
read the description of the geometric trait for you because
Yeah.
it's worth knowing in case you want to take it. So geometric. Let's see. Geometric is. Oh, it's a die trait. Cool. So it actually does stuff in the game. It's not just like your character's a nerd.
Cool.
Geometric is. Geometry is the mother of invention. Forget what that other guy says. It gives you a +1 die to any skill that uses math or measuring.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're just good at math. Way to go, Pythagoras. You don't have to take that, but it would cost everybody else 3 points. It will only cost you 1 because you're a student if you choose to take it. So put...
It makes you into the baker who can do everything by eye. You're just like, oh yeah, we just need this much.
Yeah, you would go before the king and hand cut a pie into perfect slices, like right down to the like millimeter. It's like, yeah, no problem, check it out. Boom. It's exactly 1/8 of a pie. What? Cool. It's gonna make you
I mean,
a sweet
you know what?
baker.
This is my fantasy roleplay, and I would love to be good at math in some dimension. So
Cool.
Love it. So good.
All right.
like that.
Cool. Okay, so write down all those skills and all those traits in that list, and then start thinking about your third life path before you, whether you became a baker or whether there was something else first. Let's move on to our informer accidental revolutionary. Do you have any ideas? Like you were saying you wanted to be some kind of like groundskeeper or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking something like outdoorsy or woodsy or something, and I've been trying to go through here and find like I'm trying to take the route of like figure out where I will end up and then work backwards.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe forester or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
those. So I was gonna say like, here's the thing, and if we were building a traditional like D&D party, we've got like you're shaping up to be the ranger here because. What'll happen if you take like forester or like any of the outdoorsy skills? You're going to be the one that's going to be able to do like sneaky stuff. You'll probably learn how to use a bow, and maybe you used to only hunt deer, but now you hunt the most dangerous game.
Tigers?
Nobles with guns. So cool. Okay, so what setting is that one in? Forester?
I had it and I lost it.
I think it's Noble Court.
Yeah, it's way down there.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Noble Court.
Okay.
So is that... Yeah.
So what you'll need to do to get to Noble Court is just find another life path that allowed you to move. Basically, we're going to chart your path from born in the village to works in the court, and how did you get there?
Mm-hmm. And there's 4. We're doing 4, right?
Yes, 4. You'll have 2 in the
I
middle.
need to find 2. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So go ahead and write down just the same as I said before. Do you have a page number for Forester?
Yeah, 1 sec. It is...
I found it here. Okay. So it looks like you've got leads out, which you won't need because this is your last one, but you do the same thing. Basically, you have to take observation, but you can also take orienteering, foraging, survival, tracking, trapper, cudgel, staff, bow, poacher-wise, and park-wise. So write all those down on yon skill list, but only put the required box next to observation.
Okay.
Cool. Moose-wise. So there's a skill. So if you ever see a skill in this game that's like something -wise, it's just like shit your character knows about. It's theory, it's understanding of certain things. It may not be practical application. Like the difference between someone who has swords and someone who has sword-wise is like being able to tell the difference between a falchion and a scimitar versus knowing how to cut someone's arm off with a falchion or a scimitar. So if you have things like park-wise or poacher-wise, you can use them to deal with those things better, either by knowing about them flat out, to be like, what do I know about this park? Or if you're chasing someone through a park, you can use that skill to make it easier for you.
Also, Adam, you'll like this one. It is appropriate for both Colin and Jess's characters to have moose-wise, but for different reasons.
Moose-wise. Well, I mean, it was a good attempt at a show, everybody. Thanks for trying.
Thank you. Good night.
Hey, someone's got to make puns before Adam does.
That's true. That's fair. I'm in focused teach brewing wheel mode. I can't fuck around. Okay.
Well, I'm debating around whether or not I'm going to be a thug, a desperate killer, or a bandit. It's
God.
Well, you could be all three. You could be. That's the desperation escalator, right? Like thug, petty thug, bandit, and hell, if you take thug now, you'd be a 12-year-old thug, which is
No, I know.
the
Like
best.
as a kid, my character is going to be a bandit or a thug or
Yeah.
a desperate killer.
Oh boy.
Yeah, into it.
It's a hard life for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about it a bit more, and this idea of having something kind of uncanny about the character, like how he kind of like made it to where he got to, and I like the idea of him just like somehow being a survivor, like he's been through some shit,
Mm-hmm.
and like anyone else would have been dead, and he's like almost dead, but he's not quite dead. Like imagine just like claw his way through with like sheer determination.
Well, and those kinds of things you can always tack on later as 1-point character traits, like not quite dead or uncanny, right? And that's the great thing about those 1-point character traits.
Yeah, you just make them up.
Yeah, wises are pretty damn awesome. I told you about, or maybe you played in that game where Jon Stone's character had night wise, so everything he did, he waited until the sun went down. Because he was like, I get an extra die. I can fork it into literally every skill as long as it's nighttime.
I'm pretty sure I was jamming that game. He was playing like a crazy noble.
Yeah, or it might have been Mouse Guard, which uses the same like the wises, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you have so you're gonna take Thug as your second life path?
I'm thinking about it. So, Born Slave leads into Soldier or Outcast. So that means I can choose anything from
Soldier, Outcast, or Slave, yeah.
Yeah. So none of the other slave things really fit. I haven't looked through the soldier section.
You don't want to be a ditch digger? You don't want to
Or
be a field
harem
laborer?
slave?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't think it fits.
I mean, I like that there's a life path for you were in jail for 3 years. Like, it's not even like prisoner, it's just jail. You were in jail.
where is the soldier setting? Is there such a thing?
Yes. The soldier one is it's called Professional Soldier. And it's on 187. It's appropriate.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So you think about what order you want to be a thug or a bandit in.
Yes.
So let's go back, Asan. You can interject at any time if you want, but I feel like you got your shit under control.
I don't because of one thing.
Let's take a look.
Which is, I think the age chart isn't adding up right.
Okay. How is that?
So my character's 30-something years old. 30. I had it somewhere. 38. Which puts me into this 36 to 40 range for both mental and physical.
Yeah.
But it looks like my physical pool is only 10. I don't know if there's something wrong with the sheet.
Should it be 14?
It should be at least yes, it should be 14.
You know why? Because you can't have a power, fort, agility, or speed lower than 1. So it auto spends 1 on each of those for you.
Gotcha. Same thing with the mental.
Mental, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that helps me a lot.
For your skills, you can, if they're based on 2 things, you can little checkbox. You can actually open a second option.
Christ.
Yeah, so you don't have to do the math yourself. So
that is the best.
Just check the box, and you'll be able to say if it's perception and something else. Check the box, add the second one in. There you go.
Yeah.
And that should have
all these things I have said is custom right now will now make more sense. Thank you.
All right. Well, Austin's on advanced mode. Let's go back to. No, I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job. saving me the effort, and I only have to help 3 people make characters.
You're still gonna need to help me, because I'm gonna get to a point where it's like, where do I spend these points?
I can troubleshoot your character for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so our baker to be, you've got your skill list written down there, and you have 2 traits. Throw drunk in there in that list too, because you can also be a drunk if you want.
Okay.
Just chuck that in there.
Right.
That's cool. Just chuck drunk on there. You may not want to take it, but it's it's a thing.
But if you do.
Yeah. Okay. So, what happened after you were a student? So your character is 16 years old. They've just spent 4 years in school learning how to do a bunch of stuff, or maybe nothing. Totally up to you. What did they do then?
I mean, I probably just went directly into my trade.
Into
went back
bakery?
home and-
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
this is the thing. You can take the same life path twice if you want to. So you could just be city-born student, baker. But you get diminishing returns on the second take. So if you repeat a life path, let's see, just looking at this. If you repeat it, the second time you just get the whole life path over again, so it just doubles it. It's the 3rd or 4th time. So if you were like city-born baker all the time, and you were like 80, and
Sound
you
like
had
a truck driver.
Yeah.
City-born baker.
Yeah, so you can take baker twice if you want to. That would give you 10 skill points, 20 resources, because having a trade makes money for you. 2 trait points, and then you would have to take baking and cooking, so you learned cooking on the side.
Okay. Does something like apprentice artisan make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
that
I
could
was
be your
like-
next one.
Yeah, if I was like being taught how to do this trade,
Yeah, what
could I
pages?
take that?
What page is that one on?
It's 53.
Okay. So apprentice artisan, 153 you said? Let's see. Let's see. What setting is it in? City?
None of those skills really apply to me though. Yeah, city
Yeah,
dwelling.
you only have to take the first one. What's the first one?
Hang on, I just lost it. Mason?
Oh yeah, probably not. For some
Yeah,
reason,
it
you
doesn't
just
really
become.
make sense.
Look, it's important to learn how to.
Build an oven.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you could take.
Brick ovens.
You could take just apprentice, because apprentice gives you have to take mending, but this is like you're not allowed to be a baker yet, but you're allowed to like fix the baker's apron when she tears a hole in it.
Yeah.
You'd learn.
Yeah.
You'd also learn. Again, read and write, which you already have or could already have. You'd learn hauling. You'd learn driving. You'd learn ditch digging. That's a useful skill. And then your traits, you would be broken in, and you could take the trait back-breaking labor
Cool.
if you wanted to. So this would be like this arch would be city-born, student, shitty job, real job, basically, which makes sense.
Which
That sounds
is pretty
cool.
real life, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like city-born student, shitty job, die. But thankfully, your character didn't have to do that.
Christ.
Alright, I guess I'll do apprentice
City-born
then.
student, arts degree, philosopher,
Arts
sorrow,
degree.
shitty job, blockbuster
Slave.
video, die.
Yeah.
Okay, so
God, that's
yeah, so
real.
let's add in apprentice as your next one.
Okay.
So apprentice takes 7
I'm not
years.
typing.
Jesus Christ, you spent 7 years like just lifting heavy shit and pushing stuff around, being like, "Can I please just touch a cake?" And they're like, "No, stay away from the cake, apprentice."
see,
We're
this
at, like
is-
the finest bakery in the kingdom.
At
Yeah.
this point, you've already been a student, right?
Yeah.
So you know how to read, you know how to write. Like your mind is just like you're like have a really developed interior life and cannot use any
Yeah.
of those skills that you have.
Yeah.
But I'm honing my strength for my tradesman's guild of
Yes.
fighters.
Yeah, totally.
Strong arms from punching dough.
Nice. So yeah, it takes you 7 years, gives you 8 resource points.
Okay.
Gives you 1 on the physical stat column, so your character's getting ripped from lifting boxes and stuff.
Sick.
It gives you six skill points.
Okay.
And 2 trait points. And then you got the list there. So you get you have to take mending. You can, if you want to, take read, write, hauling, driving, or ditch digging, or all of those. And then for traits, you have to take broken in, and you might take backbreaking labor if you want, but you don't have to.
Okay, so I only have to take that first one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Okay. And then, how are we doing, Colin? Do you have some fill-ins available for you here?
I'm kind of overwhelmed here.
It's okay.
I think I've got it, but I'm just like now reading through everything.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
Trying to find the perfect fillers for those two, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, it's supposed to take a while, and we're supposed to put, like, time and care into it. The fact that, like there's no rush. We've got lots and lots of time, so not to worry. So your character, Villageborn, let's try to get you to Noble Court, shall we? Let's look at what village leads out. So Villageborn can lead you to Peasant, which is a step backwards. It's leads you to Servitude. That doesn't really work very well. Leads you to the Sea, which would be a weird. Like, I just go be a sailor. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go be groundskeeper Willie now, or to Religion. So looking for, if we want to jump from a village straight to Noble Court, let's see if there are any. There might not. You might have to go to the city.
Yeah, there's a couple, but I wasn't sure about any of them.
Okay.
I think like one of them is like apiarist, and
Yep.
that would be a little. I don't know if that's with the character.
Brewer is one. Weird, like a kid just grow up. You're like, yep, make beer. I'm a beer making. I mean, whatever. You're an adult. You're an adult at 10.
Yeah.
You would spend 8 years making beer.
Wait, slow down. Dial it back. What?
I mean, you're not an infant anymore. You can take adult life paths, basically. Let's see. Yeah, apiarist. Okay, so we might need to nudge you there a little more slowly. We might need to get you to somewhere else. So let's look at maybe city or something that can lead to Noble Court that makes sense for your character. So things like let's see, coin clipper, which I doubt is a thing your character would do. And you can lead for the village, it's into which ones again? Peasant, Servitude, Sea, or Religious. Okay.
You know, I actually kind of like the weird sea angle, just adding some like strange backstory.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at that one and see if there's a Noble Court that leads out of it.
Could you have been from a different place? Like,
yeah, you're born in a village on the other side of the sea.
Across the sea.
And then you sailed and like spent years as a sailor or whatever. That could be kind of cool. I think that could be neat.
So let's take a look. For the sea,
not seeing anything.
Yeah, they all seem to be soldier, city, villager, or outcast. But it could get you to city. Religious is another option. If you want to get a little weird, like your character could have been sold or like given to the church. Oh, I mean, okay. Here's the easiest way, right? This is the easiest way for you to get there.
Okay.
Village-born, servant, something in the court, forester, right? Because this would be like you were born in the village, your peasant parents or whatever, your villager parents gave you up or like traded you or sold you or by some arrangement sent you to be a servant to a noble lord, which you did for several years, and maybe you showed a talent for, woodcraft, and then you could take another thing that led you to becoming a noble forester.
Okay.
So you could do village-born, servant, and then anyone more from court that would give you some skills like that. That would give you forester skills.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So let's see. Oh, that's so funny. There's 2 different versions of servant. There's the servitude one, and then there's the noble version. So you could be like village-born servant, better kind of servant, forester.
Yeah, from slave to indentured servant.
Yeah, well, servant to someone better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could take huntsman, Huntsman's a good one.
Huntsman's a good one.
You could take Gardener, right? That's another option. Yeah, I think that your second last and last life paths are going to be your character really like getting their shit together, getting on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go with the servant.
Okay, so servant for your second path.
Yeah.
Okay, so servant gives you mostly bullshit, I think, which I apologize for, but hey, that's life. Being a servant sucks. We find the servitude. Well, hey, at least you weren't born a slave, right?
I was gonna say, beats being a slave.
You could stop being a servant. You have that choice, sort of. Probably not, because you're just a kid. Let's see, servitude. Totally lost it. Do you have your life paths there, Andrew? Because it's the same setting. Do you know what page it is?
Oh, for the...
I found it. Servitude and captive. Okay, so servant gives you... It takes 5 years. So from your characters from 10 to 15 was a servant. It gives you 6 resources. It is a lead, so put a 1 in lead. You get 2 skill points and 2 trait points. And then your skills, you get 2 skills. You have to take Soothing Platitudes. And if you want to, you can take Gossip Wise.
So the skills, does it matter the order in which I list them on the
only the
next
first
section?
Only the first one. So like after Cudgel, you're gonna want to put Soothing Platitudes, and then we'll mark it for you as required.
Okay.
And
what
then
page is this on?
This is on 192. Oh yeah, Cudgel. Yeah, I don't know if there's like a weird character sheet thing going on, but on mine, like the first 2 are fine. Like you had observation and then something else on the top. Those were okay where they were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wiped them all out.
That's okay. It was it was observation. Those are from Forrester. So it was observation and then something else. So just leave observation at the top and that required box is there, and then put at the bottom where I've put that second checkbox. That's where you're gonna put Soothing Platitudes, because you have to take that, and then Gossip Wise immediately underneath it. And Soothing Platitudes is your character's way. It's a way of getting what you want by telling people things you think they want to hear, like. Yes, my lord, your hat looks particularly fancy today. While we were on the subject of hats, I could use a new hat. Or if someone's mad at you, you have a talent. You have a talent for diffusing them by being like, "Hey, chill, everything's fine. It's all fine. We're fine. Don't be so mad." And then for traits, you get 2, and they are. Mind-numbing work and obsequious, but you only have to take mind-numbing work. Did you have traits from Forrester?
I didn't write them down. I think there are some though.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll make sure we write those down. So I guess right now all you need to do is, add in after Soothing Platitudes, add in the other skill that you had to take from Servant. Put in your 2 servant traits, and then go back and fill in the traits and fix up that skill list from Forrester. And I'll come back. I'll come back and take a look at your sheet in a second.
Okay.
Okay. So you picked Bandit for your second one, Andrew?
Well, I might. So I need to ask you some questions about.
Please do.
It's been a while since I've done this. So, what is the resources number for again?
So resources are what you're going to use to buy property, equipment, relationships, reputations and affiliations.
Okay. Yeah, so I think
miscellaneous
I'm
character
not
stuff.
to be a bandit. I need to go through the soldier setting.
Yeah.
For 3 life paths, because I'm going to go foot soldier, sergeant, and then veteran. Because veteran will let me get a cool rep and all that kind of stuff, which is part of my whole character idea of being this notorious person.
Sure.
So I think that will best serve the idea that I have.
Okay.
I had a lot of to kind of do whatever, which is why I was taking so long. So it's just what?
Yeah. Analysis paralysis is a real thing in this game.
So So yeah, I was born a slave, and then like sold into the army or something
Okay.
by my owner.
Mhm.
Which
So is that maybe that's a part of why the whole uprising happened because the army is made up of slaves?
slaves? Yeah,
yeah.
like for sure. I think that's totally like I love the idea that like my character now will look at like kids and be like, oh, they don't have to grow up in this like horrifying world of slavery that I was in, and like
Totally.
feel all bitter about it because I'm a bad guy.
All right,
Guys,
rad.
It's
How do we feel about ghosts?
I think
What?
they're kind of spoopy.
Okay,
Mhm.
I might take haunted as a trait.
Nice. I mean, that doesn't have to mean literally
I
haunted.
know,
But it could be. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
you think you're. Let's leave it. Let's leave it to.
Yes,
Let's leave it to discover in play.
sounds
if you
good.
take haunted.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
oh, further question, Adam.
Yes.
The lead column. What do I write in that?
Just one. Just put a 1. If
For-
if it's a lead from the life path you were in before to a new one, so like born a slave,
Okay.
you'd leave 0 because you can't. I mean, unless the life path you were in before was the womb. Yeah, and then 1 to get
Right.
into foot soldier, but the rest are soldier ones, so you stay there.
Yeah, so I stay in that, so I'm 0 all the way. Cool.
I'm having a
Oh,
hard
and that's
time.
just extra time, right?
Yes, that adds to your
So-
age. Yeah.
Someone in chat just asked, Andrew, are you ever a nice person?
Andrew's a very nice person.
Andrew
So-
is. His character's not always.
I mean, I don't know. Gritch is actually like Gritch is ruthless, but not a like bad person.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to do right, but this character like really doesn't give a crap. But I'm hoping to set him up on a like redemption
Right.
or be a villain kind of
Cool.
track where it's
Yeah.
like we're gonna leave that to the story to decide. But he's
I
kind
like
of
it.
choice to be one or the other.
Cool. Okay. So somebody had a question for me. There was a question from the team.
I think I was going to say that I'm looking at these traits, and I'm trying to decide what to do with. I have like 2 trait points remaining
Yes.
after taking the ones that I want from my list.
Okay.
And I think I have ones that I'm okay with, but,
Your
but I'm
character,
still,
so far your character, you have what, 4 points,
I have.
and you have to spend 3 of them.
No, I have. Is that right? Do I have 4? No, I have more.
Oh,
than
no,
4.
I see. You've
1, 2, 3,
spent
4, 5,
4.
6. I
Okay.
have 6 total. I've spent.
So you're a privileged lord bastard who is cynical.
Right. Those are
Okay.
the ones that I'm definitely taking. I'm
Okay.
not thinking about taking Muttering and Haunted, which just makes him a Shakespeare character, which might be fine.
Right. No, I get. I mean, I can kind of see that like
It's kind of like
Prince of Denmark thing going for your
yeah.
character.
I kind of like that, so I might just go with that. Because I was kind of having a hard time deciding whether or not I wanted to play him as like I was looking at there are some traits that are things like idealistic, and I didn't know if he was still idealistic or not,
Sure.
or versus there are ones that are kind of like he's seen some shit and he's practical and he doesn't give a fuck anymore. But I think I don't want to write either of those down. I think I just want to write down these things that are a little more about how I'm going to play him, because I don't yet know. Cynical is already giving me a little bit. I don't want to lean too hard into whether he is completely broken of his philosophies or if maybe his philosophies are just cynical a little
Right.
bit. I think that's as close as I want to get.
Cool.
The other thing is, do the attributes here automatically calculate? Like, should my health equal?
No, we will add to them because there's
Right.
there's questions for health and steel. Reflex and mortal wound have already calculated for you.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, cool. So looks like that's coming along. Do you want to do your last life path? Should we do your Baker life path, Silton? Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you ready to ascend to Bakerdom?
What was my trait for apprentice? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, no problem. So for yeah, and it looks like you're missing some apprentice skills too, so that's okay. Apprentice, I will find it. We can review. Here we go. Okay, so your skills for apprentice were mending, which you will have to take, so that's required. We got that one right. And then the rest of your skills are write, read, which you already have, so you don't have to mark those again. So hauling, driving, and ditch digging should come after mending, rather than Potter.
Okay.
Because I think
Some
that
skills
came
right
from-
there.
Clearly, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think you looked at the wrong, but that's okay.
Hauling. Sorry, hauling,
Hauling, driving, and ditch digging.
driving.
Yeah, like driving an ox cart or something, as opposed to riding a horse. Like you're good at
Driving
you're good
horse.
You're good at sitting in the in the like wagon thing whipping the horses, but if someone actually put you in a saddle on a horse, you wouldn't know what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could theoretically drive a wagon or dig a ditch if you want to. And then for your traits, you have two options. One of which is you have to take broken in. Because the first one, broken in, and then your next one is back-breaking labor.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. Totally fun. Fun to be a medieval worker. Okay, so let's get to the realness. You've become a baker at the age of 23.
Made it.
You made it.
I
You made
made
it
it.
into baking. All right, so
Where's Baker? I couldn't
it's on
find it.
page 172. It's just above alewife and just below shopkeeper.
Ooh, alewife.
Oh yeah, you're missing read on your skill list.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, it's optional, so just throw it at the bottom.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so for your fourth life path, put in baker. Okay, and then you get it takes 6 years. So at the beginning of the campaign, your character will be 29 and has just finished being a baker.
Sounds good.
You get 10 resource points. And then you get 5 skill points.
Okay.
And 1 trait point.
Okay.
Okay. And for your skills, the first skill is going to surprise you. It's going to surprise you and blow you away. It's baking.
Whoa!
To be a baker, you have to know how to bake. So, baking is your first skill. Cooking is your second skill. So baking is required. There we go. Yeah, cooking is optional. And then daily bread wise.
I love it.
Daily bread wise.
What?
So
Love it.
daily, the word daily, and then bread hyphen wise.
What does
Daily
that
bread
mean?
wise. It means you know about daily bread. You know, I think that it's in this case like these are all open to severe interpretation, but I think this is a sort of like the ritual of like give us this day our daily bread. Like your character understands how food fits into people's lives.
Yeah.
Because bread is like, this is why Peaceland bread is a thing, right? Like bread is the stand-in for wholesome, nutritious sustenance. So that's a thing your character might know about. And then also sweet tooth-wise. Yeah. Sweet tooth-wise.
Wise.
And then your trait, you only get 1 trait, and you have to take it, and the trait is flowery. F-L-O-U-R-Y. Your character is covered in
Just mean
flour.
I'm like always covered in flour.
Yes. Yeah, you got
Aw,
flour
that's
all
cute.
over you all
That's
the
really
time.
great.
Yeah.
So great.
You can very easily use this trait to get Artha, which is like reward points later, by just being like, yeah, I leave like a flowery handprint somewhere where I shouldn't have been, or like, you know, like your character just, you're a baker, you have flour on you a lot.
Mhm.
It's a thing.
Cool. I like it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, we have all the traditional Dungeons and Dragons characters. We have the ranger, the noble, the baker, the insane fighter.
know.
Yeah, the insane slave. Yeah, flowery. All right, cool. So that's your list that you've built here, and we'll get to once everyone's done this. I'll explain how to spend these points that you're getting. We'll go on to the next step once everybody's ready. So how are you doing, Andrew? Have you got your lists all filled in?
I think I've got everything recorded.
Okay.
I might do a little bit of shifting around of some of my like optional points when we get to figuring out stats, but
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
I figured.
Austin, your character is like 10 years older than everybody else.
That's about right, though. That's like kind of what I was aiming for, right?
Yeah.
Like, heavy is the head that's a little bit older. That's how the saying goes, right?
Yeah, totally.
Well, it's like I kind of like this character being a little bit older specifically because there is a little bit more weight to the fact that things aren't fixed. Like, if you're young and you've just gone through this revolution, there's hope springs eternal for another 10 more years.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you're already getting up there, like, man, what if I don't live to see the good stuff that comes after we figured all this shit out, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Ugh.
All right, so we are almost ready to start spending points. So I'm just gonna move some stuff around for ease of use for you, Cullen. So you've got you're gonna take Huntsman as your third one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. All right. So Huntsman gives you. Let's see, and it's the noble version of the Huntsman, not the city-born one. Because that can be confusing. Because if you're a noble huntsman, you learn, or working for a noble, you learn one thing, but if you're in the city, you learn another. So the noble.
Did I grab the wrong one?
No, you got the right one. I was just looking at the other one.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so for this one, you got soothing platitudes and gossip wise. Or maybe you did grab the other one. No, there's just a couple that you get added on here. So you should have hunting, and you have to have that, which you got. Forest wise, yep. Throw animal husbandry on there. Yeah, you got that. Stealthy, cooking, and tracking. Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, so cooking and tracking. And actually, you can leave tracking off because you already have that up at the top.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, delete that one.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if they overlap.
You already have orienteering, so that's fine. You leave that one off. And then you have crossbow. So you can use bows and crossbows.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. You can here. Let's just fill in this top one because you've got you got bow on here twice. So I'll add in cross to that
Yes,
one.
I do.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So you have your skill list now. Huntsman gives you just one general point and no additional traits. So you've just got the traits from Forester that we want to grab. So your Forester traits are what? Where did those go?
Let's see. I started.
Oh, none. Wow, you have. So you
I
just
need to
have,
rearrange this stuff.
I realized
I have observation. No, go ahead.
You don't actually have to rearrange them because all we have to make sure we do is just check the required ones, which we have. Like, you have to take hunting, you have to take soothing platitudes, and you have to take observation. But the thing is, like, your character, the only traits you got were from being a servant. So you'll just have points that you can spend. You have basically five skill or trait points to spend on any traits you want, which is cool. You have a lot of freedom to spend that stuff. Cool. All right. So you're ready too. Everybody's skill list is ready. So we've all chosen our life paths? We're ready to move on to the next thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's take a short break. I'm going to grab some water, and we'll start allocating points and doing the math part of character creation. So stick around, everybody.
It's
We'll
not
be back
bad.
in-
It won't be bad. We'll all be fine.
This is the fun part, because now you're choosing of this list what you actually give a shit about. So, yeah, stick around. We will be back with more Burning Wheel in just a couple minutes. See you soon.